So here we are, episode 5. Let me just say something, yeah. Before I get into this, my consistency is the thing that will keep me going, right? So let's just talk about this quickly before I get into the podcast. It's Sunday night. The podcast is out tomorrow morning. I'm filming it right now. I've got technical issues. I've just come back from Liverpool. I am really tired. I've got a stomach ache, but it's episode 5 and I'm making a podcast and I've promised myself that I'm doing this podcast. I'm going to be successful. I'm going to get to 100,000 followers. And in order to do that, I need to be consistent. I need to do an episode every week. And I'm doing an episode every week. This is the 5th week. And here we are. So welcome to episode 5, from surviving to building. And this is becoming the GOAT. And basically, I am really excited. So I just want to talk about something. So I was saying this, just a little disclaimer, yeah, I had sound issues, technical issues. I started filming, the sound went, and it's been a nightmare. So I'm hoping that the sound will work. Otherwise, I may have to film this again, which is going to be horrendous. Anyway, I don't think we'll get to that. But last week, yeah, I was saying about it wasn't, to be fair, I need to do more promotion around the podcast, but there weren't many views. But, it's like in the beginning, like a lot of I noticed the difference on my views when I talk about when I'm in the problem, I get tons of views. When I want to move into solution, my views die down. And one of the things around it, and I know this is familiar territory, like being in the problem. And one of the things I'm determined to do in the GOAT community is bring people kicking and screaming from here into solution, no matter what, right? But last week we were talking about goals, yeah? I spoke about my God's boards, basically, right? The God's board and the goals, and 2024 Nick, and what she did, and now here 2026 Nick, and now what 2026 Nick's going to do for the fucking future Nick, do you know what I mean? And all that kind of stuff. But yeah, goals and all this kind of stuff. And I was reflecting, right, a few things. One, about the problem. So welcome to the episode. I just want to talk really quickly before we move on, right? And I'm just going to touch on it. Like, when I'm in the problem, when I talk about my survival of my horrendous life, trauma, mental health issues, estranged from my family, divorced, domestic violence, dads, my mum, covert narcissistic mother, sister who bullied me, all this stuff, crisis team, nervous breakdown, left jobs, all of this stuff, wanting to off myself, all this stuff, yeah. I could talk about that for days and days on end. I could sit here and do a podcast and talk episode after episode after episode after episode of being estranged, and then I could start really delving into my trauma and also the stuff that happened to me in my childhood and the abuse, the emotional abuse, and then in relationships that I've realised that I then carried that through in my relationships with men, and the way I abused myself and the way they abused me, and I could keep doing that and just get people coming in and being like, yeah, me too, I identify. And I could tell you all about, if you don't know by now, go back and look at all the content. It's there, babes, it's there, right? I didn't just build the amount of followers I did without talking about my life and my trauma, because that's why I got so many followers, because people identify and they can relate to that. Perfect. It's relatable. We've got trauma. We've all got trauma. Yeah, we're all in survival mode. Surviving. Mental health, estrangement, horrible families, horrible relationships. I hate everyone. They've done shit to me. I've done this. I've done that. I feel shit about myself. I've got low self-esteem. All that stuff. Let's reel it off, yeah? All of this stuff that is bad. It's bad. Bad is, look, bad, yeah? Done. Right? What do we do? Last week, see, this is the thing. Last week, I was inspired. I was like, bang, goals. We're moving forward. I'm not getting stuck in the past. I'm doing new things. I've got new goals. And every day I'm thinking about these new goals that I want to achieve in my life, how I want my life to look, where I want to live. Like, eventually I'm going to move, and where I want to live, and how I want my life to look, the people I want in my life, relationship, all that kind of stuff, yeah, my career success, my podcast, what I want to do next, how I want to grow the community, right? And I was inspired. And one of the things about it is I've been reflecting. And the thing is, with this podcast, yeah, it's really, really hard for me to future plan it. It's just the way I operate, it seems. Like, when I make content and it's raw and it's real. And I have a rule where I don't spend more than 5 minutes on a video for TikTok and Instagram. I don't spend more than 5 minutes. Obviously for this is a bit, longer, but I will get an idea, film the idea, put it up. I don't really batch create because I don't really like batch creating. I like it feeling raw. I like it coming to me and I've done that for the last year. It's not sustainable, and I know eventually it's not going to be, and it needs to be, a bit more thought out, like the podcast as well. But, as the week has gone on, so last week we were talking about goat energy and bringing your goals and achieving goals. And I said to you categorically that you can achieve any goals that you put out there, you can achieve them. But I can imagine that when people watch that, then you're like, okay, so now what? I'm out, I'm on my own. Like, okay, so what? Do you know what I mean? And I think, I always say, I try and be relatable. You can relate to me. Like, I am just like you. I am. But also, I am a leader in this space where I want to lead and tell people that although I'm an estranged adult child, former drug addict who's in recovery, mental health issues, who recently got discharged from the crisis team, the mental health team, and those reasons are because I put some fucking work in. I did some fucking healing work. I went to therapy. I stayed accountable. I want to be a leader in the space as a real everyday person. This like relatability. You can relate to me being a leader. I've been doing healing work in terms of therapy. I'm in recovery, 12-step program. I've sponsored many people in recovery also as well, and tried to help many other people, get clean or stay clean a day at a time, right? So that's a big part of my journey, and, helping and everything I've done. I don't just sit up here and talk about being the greatest of all time without actually have done some stuff to be the fucking greatest of all time. And in this community, I want everyone to be the greatest. But I know that when we talk about goals and moving forward and go energy, and you're probably looking at me thinking, well, you can do that, you've done that, but I can't do that. And it's like, but why not? And then I realized the missing link, and it's not about TikTok videos or Instagram videos, and just a few little, this is emotional abuse and I'm the scapegoat, I'm the goat, and I sit on TikTok live and listen to people when they talk, and then you go off into your world and on your merry way. And the reasons why I have managed to go from being a broken woman who has, overcome addiction, mental health issues, nervous breakdown, wanting to kill herself, is because I found people I could be accountable to and change my life. That is it. I had to start moving out of survival, and I needed to start building. I needed to start healing. By healing, I was building a new life, and I had to move out of survival. How the fuck do I move out of survival? You know what I did? I found people that I could be accountable to. I needed to be accountable. I needed to be around like-minded souls. I've been talking about recovery a bit today. It feels like it's very apt, but the recovery part of in the 12-step program, you'll meet, you're an addict, and they'll tell you to get a sponsor. Now, a sponsor is just someone who has got a bit more experience of staying clean a day at a time. So I've been a sponsor. I've had a sponsor and I've been a sponsor, and it really helped me. So just not to go into too many details, I had a sponsor in recovery. They helped me, they supported me, they guided me. We went through some work together, and I got better, and I've managed, because of that process, to stay. I wouldn't be here without that person. I wouldn't be 12 years clean without people. I've had a couple of sponsors, and I realised the same for us. Now, our community, it is about estrangement, but it's not just about estrangement. No fucking way. It's about trauma, and so it's about estrangement, toxic relationships, coming out of those relationships, because you can have toxic relationships in any sense. So we talk about, sorry, I was just reflecting. So we were talking about last week, we were talking about goat energy, goals, and, you know, and then I've talked very openly about survival. Everyone relates to that. Then I talk about healing and what had happened between this survival and I say to building, to, you know, healing, to build a better life is healing became my full-time job. It was nobody else's responsibility to fix me apart from myself, right? So in life, I'm not responsible for some of the stuff that, like in my childhood, some of the things that have happened to me, right? But I knew that as I was getting older, those things that had happened to me, those things were holding me, keeping me back and keeping me stuck. And I would make really bad choices. You know, I chose drugs for a very long time to block out the thoughts in my mind and all that kind of stuff. And I'd fall into all these old patterns. And what I needed to do is I needed to learn, one, why I fell into these patterns, what would trigger me into these old patterns of behavior, how can I get out of them, and, you know, what can I do to mentally get better? Because not only have I, drug addiction, like mental health, I had a nervous breakdown a couple of years ago, and then from my nervous breakdown, what had happened is I had a nervous breakdown, couldn't leave the house, panic disorder, was diagnosed with panic disorder and agoraphobia, to now being able to leave my house, leaving my door. I've just come back from a weekend trip away. You know, that isn't an overnight thing. Again, like I say, healing became my full-time job. Recovery, healing became my full-time job. I was in the thick of recovery. I was going to a 12-step program. So when I first got clean, they suggest 90 meetings in 90 days. So I did that. I went to a meeting every single day. For about a year in my first year of recovery. And I remember, because I really struggled in the beginning to get clean and stay clean, and I remember I had a sponsor. My sponsor she was great, she was phenomenal, and I remember her saying to me, you need to call me every day. So when you do the 90 meetings in 90 days, what we're going to do is we're going to call me every day so we can just check in and chat. And I checked in with her every day, and this was the start of my accountability to someone. Like, she asked me to do that. Now, I have a choice. So in all of this stuff, and you don't have to watch this, by the way. You've got a choice. You can sit and fuck off and stay in the problem. If you want to do that, that's absolutely fine. If that's what suits you, you have a choice. But for me, like, that was my first point of me making a choice, being accountable and taking responsibility for my healing journey. And she said to me, call me every day for the 90 days. And I did. And we continued. I called that woman, like I say, I went to a meeting every day for a year. I called that woman every day for a year. I mean, I called her pretty much a lot after that anyway. We were like that. We became super close. But in the beginning, I called that woman every day for a year solid. And I'd never missed a day. And it kept me in accountability. It kept me in taking responsibility for myself, showing up for myself. Like, someone's willing to help me and talk to me and help me get my mind right. In the mornings was always a really difficult time for me. I didn't know the mornings were a really difficult time for me until I started in recovery. Like, I could see that I really struggled to get my head together in the morning. So I needed structure. So I started doing that. Part of my structure became reading in the morning, speaking to my sponsor every day, and then doing some stuff, and then getting up and out. Like, I couldn't stay in the house. Also, getting up early in the morning, sleeping in was really bad for me. It's still really bad for me now. I have to get up early and get up and be productive and up and out. And that's what I'm saying. It started my journey. So this girl who couldn't live life and only knew how to deal with things by getting blackout drunk and snorting loads and loads of cocaine for days on end, finally decided that she was going to start to talk to people, connect with other people, share stuff that I never wanted to share, that I felt shame around. And what had started to happen in that process is I started to see myself very clearly, my behaviours, and I started to change. And one of the things I always say, I haven't shared this online, I used to share it in meetings, my voice changed. So how I speak now with this authority, that I learned how to do that. I've learned how to speak this way. I've learned how to speak. I was so traumatized as a child that I was very quiet. I was so shut down. I barely spoke. I really struggled to speak because I was so petrified of making mistakes that it was easier for me not to speak, not to say, because if I don't speak, I can't say the wrong thing. People aren't going to judge me or shame me. So I wouldn't speak. And as time went on, obviously I discovered drinking would make me more confident. I didn't care. But then when I got clean, I still had that crippling insecurity. I couldn't speak. And over time, I started to be accountable, share some stuff, let go of shame, and I felt better. And my voice changed. And I saw myself clearly. The shame started to go, and I started to feel better and more confident. And even the program was great, even in terms of like talking in front of other people, you know, you speak in front of others. And it was a fucking scary thing because I'm like, everyone's looking at me, everyone's looking, they're judging me. You got over that, you start to get over it. So, like I say, healing became my full-time job. And so I'm just using this. It feels very apt today to supposed to talk about my recovery because I suppose it was the start of me being a part of something, a group. And I am going to pivot onto this group thing later, right? But, you know, it was the start of me being accountable and moving forward and making choices and healing and growing. And then in the program, the 12-step program, it's you go through steps 1 to 12 and you do that with a sponsor, and steps 1 to 12. And when you get to step 12, you go out and you help others. But that then doesn't mean that the journey is over. Like, I didn't get to step 12 and it's like, right, my healing journey's done. My healing journey, when I got to step 12, had only just started. It had only just started because I didn't even know anything about myself. And at that point, let me just tell you something really, really, really funny about this, right? Obviously, I'm estranged now, and, you know, all that family trauma and all that kind of stuff. When I got into recovery all them years ago, none of that even come up because I was so oblivious to what was happening. I didn't even know about all the abuse and stuff. I didn't really know what was happening for me. So when I was going through the program and the step work and talking about family, I was still so convinced that I had a close-knit family, just the three of us, me, my mum, my sister. My dad wasn't around, he's gone. It's the three of us. We were super close. You know, we're like this. We were enmeshed. We were like, you know, codependent, enmeshed, all this stuff. I didn't even know about narcissism, any of that. So I'd done step 12 and thought, yeah, amazing. Bang. Then I started, I suppose all the surface stuff had gone. And then we started getting into the nitty gritty, and I started to then go to other programs about codependency. That was particularly amazing because that was the start of me realizing that I grew up in a family system that wasn't normal, was dysfunctional. And I remember being in a meeting once, a codependency meeting, and getting a flashback from when I was about 6, of having the silent treatment. And I forgot about the silent treatment. I'd forgotten about it. It was like I'd blocked it out. And then I had a flashback to me being 6. And I remember being in the meeting and I had this flashback. I don't know why, being young, and I'd done something wrong, and my mum was giving me the silent treatment, and my sponsor at the time, who was my sponsor in the other fellowship, and we come to Codependence Anonymous together, and she said to me, what happened to you in the meeting? You went somewhere else. And I ended up telling her, and she said, we need to look at this. And that was the start, like I say, the start of my journey. So that's what I mean. There's so many layers. Like, it's not linear, it's up and down anyway, the journey. Also, there's so many layers to it. And I truly believe that God doesn't give you more than you can handle. So at the point in time when I just come in to recovery, I had to just learn about not using drugs to block out all that was going on. I needed to learn how to sit, and I had to actually learn how to speak. I had to learn how to talk. I didn't know how to talk. I didn't know how to talk about my feelings. I didn't know how I felt apart from angry. And I knew I felt angry all the time because I was told I was angry all the time by my family. I knew that. I'm angry. What else? I don't know. So I had to learn. So I had to know the basics. Right, then that's gone. And then we start to delve deeper and deeper and deeper. And, you know, all of this stuff. And then we get into, you know, the other recovery programs. And then we get into therapy. We get into the fucking heaviness. And it became my full-time job, and let me tell you, yeah, no one can ever take away what I've done in recovery. I've worked so hard. No one saw it. So I'm telling you these stories now. No one's seeing it. Now I come to you as talking about this stuff, and I'm coming to you as the GOAT leader, telling you that this is possible if we're accountable to one another. And you've got, last week we're talking about goals in the Bible, in the GOAT Bible, the goals that you want to do for the next year, and any goal you set is fucking possible, and you can heal from your fucking trauma, and you can rebuild and build a better life, yeah? And you don't need to stay stuck in the problem. We need to move into solution. But if you're watching this and you're like, I can't move from here to here, I don't know what to do, and we stay stuck in trauma dumping, in the problem, in the thick of it, don't want to make any changes, scared to make changes, or don't know how to connect with people, that's what we need to be doing. We need to be connecting, community. And I know, I have said this, that from survival to rebuilding, the way in which that it needs to happen is we can't do this in isolation. You can't live with what's going on in pure isolation. Now, I'm not saying that you don't need to do, like, you can't, there's certain things that you can do on your own, things like that, right? But there are things that have to be done, I believe, with someone else. Therapy. I bang on about therapy all day long. Go to therapy. Go to fucking therapy. People share stuff to me all the time, and this is going to sound... What I'm going to start to do, though, is I'm not apologising, because I'm going to go... When I was in sponsorship mode in recovery, for some reason, recovery is a big topic today, because I want to show, I suppose, how I learned to be accountable. And the 12-step program was my first touch of accountability. But when I was sponsoring other people, I didn't care what you thought about me when I was giving you what I felt was the program, right? Because it's life or death. So recovery was life or death. If you get clean, and then I've seen it many times, if you go back to using, people die, right? They go out and they die. They don't come back. So for me, it was like, I have this thing, it's do or die. So when I'm in recovery, this is why people, I've had before, I was touching on, like, people being concerned about me, in recovery and the choices I make. There's two choices, do or die. I choose to be in recovery or I don't. And when I would sponsor people, the way I would speak to them would be very, very, very direct. Very fucking direct. And I had no problems with that. I had no problems with them disliking me or feeling some type of way. I mean, I did have to work through some stuff with my sponsor about the people I was sponsoring, but it was so important that I didn't mince my words, yeah, because you needed to hear this. This is the program. It's do or fucking die. Pick a side, make a choice, right? Stop making the wrong fucking choices. Oh, you're not ready. Oh, you need to go back out and do that. Okay, the next time you go back out, you might not make it back, yeah? That kind of stuff. And on here, I try and be a bit softly at times, and sometimes that works, and it can be very, very dependent on the person. Sometimes that works. Also, we've come from a lot of trauma, right? But sometimes it's not about... I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. I'm fucking not trying to hurt your feelings, yeah? I'm actually trying to help. So as someone who loves people and cares for others, and I have this full belief, I was just touching on it just now, about building a community, as the core centre of the community, I am responsible to make sure I am coming with love, but honesty. The healing journey isn't easy, but it's fucking possible if you put the fucking work in. Excuse my language, but that is it. If you put the work in, you're not going to get it through sitting and just watching, right? I spoke last week about goals, and I went away, and like I say, I filmed the podcast, and it's like, I have to film it like the week sort of. So last week, obviously I'd done the goals podcast, and then as the week transpires, I can't kind of feel like I could film it again on like a Wednesday or Thursday, but then so much stuff then still comes from last week that then it's like Sunday's the day, because I've been doing loads of new things and thinking about what we can do. What's the next thing? How do I make how do I make this a community where people can come in, feel held, accountable, and like they're rebuilding their life from survival to rebuild? How do I do that? So we talk about rebuilding, right? And one of the things, and I went to say this at the start of the podcast about my identity, and I've spoken about this on a previous podcast about I'm an estranged adult, recovering drug addict, divorcee who has no kids and is alone in isolation, and I'm struggling with my life and it's lonely, but this is who I am, and that's worked well. And people identify, oh yeah, I'm alone, oh, me too. But then what happens is we get locked into trauma. Oh, I had this happen to me when I was a kid, and and that happened to me, and that happened to me, and that happened to me, and this one, and that one, and that one, and I used because of this, and I used because of that, and I used because of this. I can't leave my house. I've got mental health issues. I'm under the care of the mental health team, and I would go under the care of the mental health team round and round and round. I've got mental health. I've got mental health. I've got mental health. I've got mental health. Anxiety, depression, anxiety and depression, anxiety and depression. And now it turns out that I might not even have anxiety and depression. It might have just been undiagnosed ADHD. All them years, I have anxiety, I have depression, I have mental health issues. And I'm not saying that that's not important. I know who I am. I know how I operate. I'm a traumatized individual who's got a lot of abandonment and rejection issues. Welcome to the club. Okay, now what? And that's the bit where it's like, okay, this is a part of, but you know what I am? I'm all of these things. I'm a leader. I'm a speaker. I like to motivate. I like to build community. I have a purpose, which is helping others. I love people. I'm a child of God. I'm carrying out God's will. I'm currently in alignment with that. And I am achieving and pursuing my goals, and I'm healing. I'm on a journey of showing up for myself consistently every day, regardless. And I'm not doing it for show. Remember, before this year, when I was in recovery, no one's watching me. So I say I'm years in recovery. You didn't know me then. No one's watching me. I have to just do it and show up. But what happened is I was accountable. I was in a group where I could be accountable. I'm accountable. But again, like I say, when I go home at night, and I shut the door and I have to do things, am I going to do it? My sponsor told me to phone her every day. Was I picking up the phone to phone her every day? That's down to me. You're not seeing it. I have to make, I'm nervous. Oh, I don't want to do that. Pick up the fucking phone. Oh, I need to set goals, and how do I achieve my goals? And I put one foot in front of the other. Oh, I need to lose weight and get back into the gym. Go join a fucking gym. Like it sounds like these tangible things that we can do. Yeah. But we need to be, I suppose my identity as a traumatized individual, if I stayed in that, with my abandonment, rejection issues, stayed in my past, it hinders me from being able to move forward, because that is a part of my life. But actually today I've worked through a lot of that stuff. I've become a lot more confident. My anxiety's lessened. I have less panic attacks. I go outside. I go to the gym. I pour into myself. I have an untold amount of self-belief. When I sit here and I say to you, I'm going to make my podcast successful and I'm going to have 100,000 subscribers at some point, I know for a fact that's going to happen. And you know how I know that's going to happen? Because I consistently show up every week, no matter what. No matter what, I'm tired. I just want to go, I want to lay down and just eat. I'm showing up no matter what. This will be out tomorrow morning. It's Sunday. So Monday, it's going to be uploading. I've got big plans this week. They're full throttle, all in. I need to do that. I know I can do it though, because the last few years of my journey have shown me that I can show up for myself. Have you ever shown up for yourself? Why not? come join us. Come in and join us. Let's start a bit of accountability together. And this is like, I know I've sort of touched on it, but I realised something last week. Let's get the Bible up. I'll go Bible, by the way, guys. We're talking about building. I am. So basically, I feel like it's been dotty today. I think it's because I'm tired. So forgive me, yeah. Forgive me for if it's been a bit all over the place, right? But we're going to come into alignment. We're going to niche it down. I've been talking about, we're in survival. We've all been in survival. We're currently in survival mode where we're trying to survive, getting out of the toxic relationships. We could still be in toxic relationships. That doesn't necessarily just have to be with your parents. That could be with partners, work relationships, friendships, all that kind of stuff, yeah? What we're trying to do is get out of survival mode into rebuild mode, right? From here to here, from solution to problem, right? That's exactly what I've been talking about this week. And I've been talking about my own identity. I presented myself online with my identity. And when I talk more about my identity as an estranged adult drug addict, divorcee who has no kids and is in isolation, everyone's like, yeah, I can relate. Wonderful. Me too. Join the club. And, here we are in our trauma bonds. And that's cool. And I'm not saying it to offend. Great. You're in. We're in. We're locked in. We're locked in for life. We're locked in together. I promise you, right? That's why I'm here. This is my purpose. Because what happened as well is I've managed to do my healing journey. I'm on my healing journey. And then I got into alignment with my purpose, which is fucking here and sitting talking to you, telling you about moving from solution to problem, just like me. Come alongside me and let's do it together, right? So we're moving from solution to problem. We're building. Like, what am I building right now? What does my life look like? I want to build a nice life. I want a really nice life. So my life, and now I want everyone to think about this. Stop and think. We will come back to this. We're going to talk about this together, and I'm going to tell you how soon. I want a nice life. So I want a successful social media career. I've talked about, followers and goals and then also, because then what I want to do is, I want to build a career which allows me to have a lot more financial freedom. It also allows me to travel more. It also allows me to help other people. And then I eventually want to get into a relationship with someone else. I want to make new friends. I want to, I'm into the gym. I start a new gym membership tomorrow at a new club. And I will vlog it. Just wait, it's going to be 10 out of 10. Anyway, so we got all this stuff, yeah? All this stuff that I want to do. Goals, financial goals. I want to move out of here. I want to buy a house again, eventually, on my own. As a single woman, I'm going to buy a house, all this kind of stuff. Financial freedom, travel more, build new relationships, career, all of this stuff. And you know what? I just want to be happy. I want to live a life that looks right for me and nobody else. Doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. I don't care. And that's what I want to. I want to live a life where I do not care about what it looks like to other people. Am I happy? And if I can go and get into bed every night and think, am I happy? And I say, yes, wonderful. It doesn't matter what you think. Yeah. So, and this is the thing. We want to talk about how we're building a new life, more confidence, more peace, getting away from toxic relationships, new friendships, a new life, a new business, a new job. Maybe you want to change your job. All of this stuff that we can't do because we feel stuck. You can do anything. I'm not coming at you. We can do anything. You can do anything, I'm telling you. And also about this, yeah, you don't need to have, I have had a life coach, by the way, no judgment. I'm not a life coach, but I fucking want to motivate. Well, I can do that from sat right here, right now. And you know how I can motivate you? Through my fucking life experience. Lived experience is so key. I'm not just sitting here as someone who's paid thousands and thousands of pounds to be a life coach so I can make fucking loads of money, right? What I did is my pain became my purpose. My purpose then became to help people through the same pain that I've been through. That's it. And then what I do, and something that's really fucking strong, and as a leader, like the thing is, I need the words I use about myself. Oh, our community, it is our community, but I'm the leader. And I want to show you that it's possible. Your pain can turn into purpose. You can change from this and become this and rebuild your life, right? Pain doesn't need to hold you back, yeah? and my lived experience, like I say, I didn't pay thousands and thousands of pounds and think, oh, you know what, I want to be a life coach. I didn't set out to do this, yeah? This happened by accident. I know you may not think it. I posted online, it blew up, and it happened by accident. But I was already in the season in 2024 when I was reading my Bible. Remember last week when I was telling you I was reading my Bible every day? I was being prepped for this, right? I didn't know it at the time, but what I did is I put one foot in front of the other and I followed the signs that were being led to me. And then I did that because I was meant to be here, because I'm meant to be helping other people work through their pain, get to their purpose and move forward, get out of fucking survival mode into fucking healing and rebuilding mode, change your life, get rid of that old shit. Let's move forward, like I say. But you know how I've done it in real life situations. Listen, it ain't got to be about spending fucking thousands of pounds. I'm passionate today because I'm swearing a lot. It ain't about that. We ain't going to sit here and spend thousands and thousands of pounds. I'm not saying that to you. I'm not saying that. I mean, you can do if you want. Go out there. I do suggest therapy. Go out and do therapy, because one of the things, and I can't help you with this, I can signpost you and I can hold you and support you when you're feeling emotional. I cannot work through your core wounds with you. You know, there's stuff we can do. There's places you can go, but sometimes that deep, deep inner soul work, you know, that stuff, sometimes we need to do that. There are things I can help you with, though. There are a lot of things I can help you with. I can help you be a part of something, a community you're a part of, a place where you end your loneliness, a place where we start to learn to live without the guilt, and we start to find peace, and we start to build goals, and we start to change our lives, and we start to, you know, when those fucking difficult phone conversations come up, you know, like the phone conversation I had the other day, we don't shame ourselves. One, we talk about it. Two, we can do that stuff. I'm very, very, very good at allowing people to talk, and we need to, you know, my name is Healing Out Loud, and we need to start to heal loudly. Don't keep it inside. Don't keep it bottled up. I have been talking about accountability and goals and being able to move from survival to rebuilding your life and having a full-time job. Healing is your full-time job. So I've been talking about community and being accountable. I spoke about my recovery journey and the 12-step journey. And what I wanted to do is gently move into what I've been doing over the last few days. And I know I've been doing this for a year, and I realised that this is missing something, the thing that's going to hold us up. We're missing that bit. And it's like I say, it's not through videos on TikTok or Instagram or live streams. I do have a guide, but it's a bit more than that. It's like the guide, but in action. The no contact survival guide, but not just about no contact. It's this, being held up, holding people. The Goat Collective, a community for us goats. And realised this week I was just trying to do a little bit of understanding and getting a bit of an understanding from people who are followers on the page, and you know what they're looking for. And I asked a question, so I just wanted to see, I'd asked a question and I asked people what was missing from people's healing journey, because I wanted to know like what it is that you looking, and also were you looking to heal from the past or rebuild. They were looking to do both. That was healing from the past, and rebuilding was a 50-50 split. So we'll do both. But also, when I asked what was missing from people's healing journey, the answers I got were community, loneliness, learning to live free without guilt, friends close by, closure. And what it is it made me reflective of my own journey. Like, how have I take therapy out, right? Let's just take, showed up for that. I didn't get to therapy for a long time, right? It took me a good 6-7 years of my recovery before I got clean, did the program, and then I went to therapy. So what did I do before that? I went to therapy down the line, but what did I do before? I was accountable. I was a part of a group where I was connected with other people, and I was accountable. I just spoke about it there, the 12-step program. I was accountable to someone else, and I showed up, and I kept showing up, and things were suggested to me, and I did those things, and I did more of them, and I did more of them, and then what I realised is that's the thing that we need to hold us up, the collective, the community collective, the GOAT collective. We need community. We need each other. I've said that. I say that every day. I say it every day. We need to be a part of something, but we need to be a part of something specific, not just loosey-loosey. Like, my whole time and energy is now going to be spent, obviously, doing my social media, but on the GOAT collective, a collective group for everyone to be a part of. Come and be a part of community. Come, don't feel lonely. Come on the Zoom calls where we can chat, and the meetups, and, bonding, that kind of stuff that we lack, and we build trust and relationships with others. So I want you to look out for more information on the GOAT Collective. It is going to be a subscription-based community. You can cancel at any time, and I will drop more details about it. It's going to be off the TikTok. It's not going to be about subscriber platform. It's not going to be like on Discord. It's going to be on a specific platform, and you can subscribe and join if you would like to be a part of something. I know people want to be a part of it, because I had so many responses to that story that I'd put up on Instagram, where I'd asked people if they felt like they wanted to be a part of something, and I got a resounding yes. So I'm going to do that and focus on building the thing that holds us up, right? Anyway, I was analysing with ChatGPT, right? And I was talking about my survival, and I was saying, it says it on here, for years and years and years, I was surviving, right? Years and years and years, I was surviving my life through this shit. Then what had happened is I had no choice. I had to start healing. So that's what I did. I told you I made healing my full-time fucking job. And you know what it did? It was prepping me. The pain was prepping me here. And then it started to become something. And then it became my purpose here. So then I started healing as a full-time job. And then I started building. Surviving, healing, building. I'm still building. I'm still healing. I'm not surviving. I'm not just hanging on by a thread anymore and surviving, right? I want you to think about it. What is it that you are building towards? Have a think. Welcome to becoming the GOAT. I always do that. I need to say thanks for tuning in to becoming the GOAT. I always say welcome. I don't know. It's just a welcome. Welcome to the becoming the GOAT. Welcome to the new life. Welcome, because it's like, yeah, come in. I'm not actually, I'm ending the episode, but what I'm actually saying is, welcome to your new life. Welcome to becoming the GOAT. I'll see you next week. Love ya.